Welcome to The Business. Coming up on the program, negative gearing, fact and fiction. We talk to the man who modelled Labor's changes. Just 2 weeks to go in the election campaign, and the Prime Minister has continued to ramp up his attack on Labor's commitment to roll back negative gearing. While the politicians trade blows, investor groups are claiming the changes will hit the property market at the wrong time. Reductions to negative gearing and the capital gains tax concessions are due to take effect in 12 months, should Labor win government. Those changes are aimed at cooling prices while encouraging investment in new dwellings. But opponents say they'll come as an apartment glut weighs down the market. Here's finance correspondent Philip Lasker.
The Aussie obsession. Australians have $6.5 trillion tied up in property, 3 times more than superannuation or shares. So Labor's plans to restrict negative gearing to only new dwellings from July next year didn't go unnoticed.
It does threaten the property market, and the reason why it does is because it's been part of the fabric of property investing for a long time.
Ben Kingsley's organisation represents everyone who's anyone in the world of professional property investment, real estate agents, investment professionals, banks and mortgage brokers. He says Labor's policy's based on inadequate and misleading economic modelling. That makes it a dangerous risk because it affects a massively important asset class like property. But the lobby group says change shouldn't be attempted without proper modelling, which it admits is impossible.
You're trying to predict investor behaviour. So it's a very difficult thing to model. When you're talking around 9.7 million dwellings and you're talking about working on averages where property prices in some areas are as low as $50,000 and in other areas as high as $30 million, the law of averages show us that the modelling won't see very big changes, even though within those numbers there could be dramatic falls.
Even the government was initially confused.
They've got a policy that is going to increase the cost of housing.
70% of Australians who own houses will see the value of their single most important asset smashed.
Labor's negative gearing policy comes from proposals by University of New South Wales economics professor Richard Holden. Its impact is based on modelling done by him and the Parliamentary Budget Office.
Both of those sets of modelling looked at the impact to the budget bottom line over 10 years, came out with very similar numbers, right around $30 billion over 10 years of positive impact to the budget.
Labor has yet to release its detailed budget savings, but the Parliamentary Budget Office numbers show a slight deterioration in the first year, possibly because of an increase in investor negative gearing purchases ahead of the changes. The second year would show savings of $580 million, with the benefit building to $8 billion by 2026-7.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to today's auction.
And Professor Holden says there is a real-life example which mimics Labor's proposal, changes to the first home buyers grant. Every state has removed the grant from all homes. It now only applies to new properties.
And interestingly, the amount of that new grant is between $7,000 and $14,000, which is right in the ballpark of the kind of benefit from negative gearing that Scott Morrison's fireys and nurses get under current policy. We haven't seen a plummet in property prices. We haven't seen rents spike up.
But after a construction boom and a strong run-up in big city prices, the property market is teetering. There are predictions of an apartment glut over the next 2 years, hence the renewed Reserve Bank warnings.
Prices can fall. They have fallen. I think while I've been in this job, we've seen them fall 2 or 3 times.
So investor groups say Labor's changes will hit at the wrong time, magnifying any predicted price collapse.
We're starting to see an oversupply already, and we potentially might move to a more severe oversupply over the next 18 months.
Richard Holden says the proposal to grandfather existing arrangements softens the blow.
It's designed to make housing more affordable. It's designed to do it in a smooth and gradual way rather than something precipitous like ending negative gearing right away.
But when it comes to affordability, investor groups are less sympathetic. They say big city affordability problems are a fact of life, so first home buyers wanting to live close to the CBD need to be more realistic.
It's definitely a supply story, but it's also for consumers to sort of make an understanding that, you know, they've got to start lower on the ladder and work their way up into their dream home.
Sydney has the second highest price to income ratios for property in the world. Melbourne is fourth. These are not league tables that you want to be near the top of or on top of.
And short-term change is unlikely because no political party wants to see prices collapse.